And that was all we knew about business. We did not hear the word called valuation, unlocking the value, building shareholders value. ये चीजें तो हमारे लिए मतलब एलियन थी तब. हम इतना बताया गया था, भाई गल्ला संभाल रहे हो, पैसे आने चाहिए. And that is all we knew. But as I grew, and I'm going to set the context before we get all these, learned gentlemen to speak about their experience on how to make money. So I had never heard of the word valuation till I met whom I call the OG restaurateur of India, a guy called Sanjay Narang. I'm sure all of you have heard about him. So I was lucky to work with him, and I remember in one of the conversations, he spoke about creating valuation. And he said, we'll get 10x, 12x. मैं बोला कोई पागल है क्या, कोई क्यों देगा, तुम 100 रुपए का धंधा करो, तुमको कोई वैल्यूएशन 800,000 रुपए का क्यों देगा. बोला ऐसे ही होता है. And that was my first introduction to this game of unlocking value, valuation, etc., etc. And I must add here, by the way, his company Mars Restaurants was the first F&B company in India to get a private equity. Yeah, and this was in the year 2000, if my memory serves me right, or 99 perhaps. So now we are sitting in an era where you meet a youngster of 24 years old who is starting off, and you talk to him, what do you want to be? He said, I want to bring in an IPO in 3 years. And I said, yaar, humne to IPO ka naam bhi nahi suna tha. So I think the way this industry has functioned has changed a lot. From seeking great operations leading to profitability versus seeking valuation is a very paradigm shift that the industry has seen. And today in this session, we are going to discuss this aspect with these wonderful people who have all built huge values in the businesses they command. So let me first start with Ankush. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know Ankush is leading what I call the largest internet restaurant company in the world. Am I right?
Yeah.
Rebel Food. Okay. So, Ankur, I remember when you first started, I think your first brand way back was Fasos, if I remember correctly, and you used to have these small stores of Fasos. From there to where you have become multiple brands virtually, if I pick up the heat map of India, you're probably present in 50, 60% of the nation today. And to reach there, and and as we know, our industry is very operation heavy. How have you reached this stage, and what is that you would like to share with our audience on how to scale up to this level? I'm sorry, I'm first going to the biggest shark out here, because I think it's very important to understand from the modern context how to build companies of this magnitude without losing the essence of what you started off with.
Yeah, I think good afternoon, everyone. I think the context you gave, so if I look back at our journey for the last 13, 14 years, I think one thing we constantly worked on, what is as a founders, our purpose was to change the way industry works. So I think, the background we come from is engineering MBA. So what we try to do is put a lot of science behind how Indian cooking used to happen. Because if you look at how pizza is done, how burger is done, it is very 4 steps thing. So that's the first challenge. So when Faso started, it was all about having an Indian chain in India. But then we kept pivoting, kept finding new answers and new solutions. I think the biggest realization was how technology changed everything in the last 2 decades. So from Walmart to Amazon, from movies to Netflix, to hotels to Airbnb, how does the same thing happen in food? And that's what we challenge one location, one restaurant versus one location, multiple restaurants. So that's a lot of what we do depends on the technology, a lot of science. Obviously, food is something which goes inside the body, so quality is very, very important. Taste is again very, very important.
So Ankush, I'm going to ask you a question which is very basic in nature. When somebody from my vintage started the restaurant, it was all about creating experiences. कि यार मेरे रेस्टोरेंट में हम एक रेस्टोरेंट खोलते थे, अगले 3 साल कुछ नहीं करते तो हमको लगता है बहुत काम कर रहे हैं हम. Okay, and to give you the story of Indigo, the first Indigo started in '99. Then next one opened in 2005. After that in 2008. तुम तो बोलोगे इतने सेल में तो रिटायर होने का टाइम आ जाता है.
So the fun fact, I come from a family. We have one shop in Jalandhar which is 200 years old.
Wow,
Only one,
wow, wow,
which
wow.
does only kachoris
So
in the morning.
that's like the change of mindset. So I'm just saying, for
So
us, restauranting was all about experience, creating experiences in the restaurant. You brought about this whole change where it is the experience is not at a physical location, but it is around, I would say, the product, the packaging, the way it travels, etc. How did you dare to take a risk like that? That यार मैं खाना भेज के भी experience create कर लूंगा. मैं तो नहीं कर सकता था कभी.
yeah, so there are two philosophies we develop. One is called every time giving a UMD experience, which is unique, memorable, and delightful. So whatever we do, we make sure that everything we do is unique. At the end of the day, memorable, and customer ends with a delight. And on the other side, so like for a restaurant, the touch point is coming to your ambience, your service staff, your menu, someone explaining the menu. We try to figure out how we can do that all digitally. And then there are four things which we felt will always be important in food, which is QCVH, which is quality, convenience, value for money, and hygiene.
भाई तुम ये हर चीज को ये एब्रिविएट करके जो समय बचाते हो उसका करते क्या हो ये बताओ मेरे को तो.
Expansion.
दिस इज समथिंग आई हियर विद मोस्ट ऑफ द करंट जनरेशन. ओ हर मतलब आई डोंट नो बोलने की जगह आईडीके बोलते हैं. इतना समय बचा के करते क्या हो यार.
No. So the reason is when you run a place, there are 20 people, you have be there. Like for me, it's now 8,000 plus people. How do I communicate? So I have to make things which are easy to remember. So UMD, QCVH. We have something called as a rebel promise, which is very simple. Day one, someone joins. The first thing we now teach them is rebel promise. And very simple. If the food is not right, it is not going out of the kitchen. Very
Right.
simple.
Simple, very nice.
So I think simplifying using technology is what we have done, and that's helped us scale. That inside kitchen, no one has to use brain, even me. That
So-
system takes care of everything.
So physical experience versus cyber experience is what we are talking about.
yeah,
Okay.
I think, and we know now people love to chat rather than talk.
I agree there. Ajkal, you know, I think I call a few people in the current generation digital slaves. They are not using the phone. Phone is using them. Okay. Thanks for your inputs. Now I'm going to come to Tarak. Tarak, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, runs this chain called Mad Over Donuts. Now I again come from a generation जब हम donut को बोलते थे मीठा मेदू वड़ा.
आपने वापस बजा दिया मेरा.
So no, I'm gonna on a serious note. See now what Ankush has done. He has created a homegrown brand. While you are somebody, you have brought in an international brand into India and grown them into such large scale. And I think now you're one of the significant markets for them globally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, I mean, how did this whole thing start and what was your whole thought and idea, not only about how to start, where do you want to take this eventually?
So what started off was more like a hobby, I think. And our founder and the one who created this brand out of Singapore wanted a franchise of Krispy Kreme, which he didn't get. Now, whether it was anger or the destruction, I don't know. But he thought that this was quite a novel brand and novel product, actually, more than the brand. I think brand was not there that time. And then pizza, burgers, everything was happening in this country during that time. Coffee shops was coming in large numbers. I came from that background of coffee shop for doing 10 years. So he said, we are from Singapore, obviously, but then we thought that India is a great market to be in with the kind of people, etc., with the kind of population, etc., with people just getting there, in terms of understanding global markets, understanding traveling a lot. So that came into India. We didn't take off, frankly speaking. We went to malls. We went to, actually, malls never told us anything. Said that they will not give you space because what you sell in a coffee shop typically was 5-7 donuts a day. How will you make this as a business? You will fail. So
That's right. I would think similarly.
Yeah. How are you trying to create a category in this country where people During that time, I remember some 20, 15 years back, there were still people going to B school, etc. Were just going there and but we persisted. I think first store didn't do well, second store didn't do well, and I don't know why did we open the third one. But when we opened the third one, frankly speaking, that is where it clicked. So we opened in a place called Breach Candy. The store is still existing, and we started raking numbers.
Small store.
Very small store. Uh, 15 years back, we used to cross 2.5 million a month. Yeah, that was the number we are talking about, and
Wow.
that gave us a lot of hope. I think more than the business model. I think people started liking the donuts. They associated themselves with MOD on an everyday basis. We became an occasion partner for everybody, be a Holi, Diwali, Rakhi, etc. And that is where it all started. Although it was not still a business model, but I thought that we could have taken this to places. That's how we started opening a little bit stores. We went up to 35 in 1 year. And in the next year, we closed 30 of them.
Okay. So it's a no. I mean, it's a story of conviction.
Yeah.
It's a story of conviction that I think this is something that India is ready for, and I'll take it to the country.
Yeah. So we learned our lessons with losing a lot of money. I will not deny that. But we knew there was a conviction and there was
But isn't
persistence.
that very fashionable to say today? I'm burning cash.
For us, no way.
No.
No, we are a
Good.
profitable company now.
Okay.
And even at the corporate level, we make money every year.
Good.
And with the same money, and we don't have any shark tank sitting on our head today, no investors, no bankers. It is us and the new stores what we open with our own money.
Fantastic,
So
fantastic.
that's a small story
No,
about
it's a
everybody.
beautiful story, and how different these stories run. If you guys realize the trajectory of what Ankush is doing, what he's doing is so different. Now I'm gonna come to you. Looking at your age and knowing about the brand little, I think you're a second generation guy.
Correct. Correct.
I can very clearly see that. So, so how easy or difficult was it for you to, when you took or when you started, when you joined the business, how many outlets did you have at that point of time?
At that point, we had about 28 outlets.
At that time?
Yeah. This is roughly 8 years back. Today, we have about 45.
Wow. So again, so I'll share my first experience. It was in Juhu, and I entered the restaurant without knowing that you were a pure vegetarian restaurant. I went, and my first order at your restaurant was only a bottle of water, and then I walked out. Because for me, going to a vegetarian Italian restaurant and having pure vegetarian food wasn't the idea then. Today, it might be different. So tell me, I mean, I'm sure you've heard it through your parents or whoever, how this whole idea of doing this eatery, which is serving brilliant Italian food, but purely vegetarian, occurred to you. And did you ever think that I need to do something differently in my current generation? Let's begin with this. I'm going to come to the core topic after this first round.
Right. So just a bit about our story and how we started. We started in Pune in 1989. My father, who founded the restaurant, was a hotelier at that point of time. And at that time in Pune, we had the Osho commune, which was very famous with a lot of foreigners. And he made friends with an Italian chef. And eventually they decided to start a small pizzeria in the basement. And that's where the idea started from. And that's why Italian and a lot of Europeans at the time who came to India did not really have food that they were familiar with. And we're Gujaratis, our family is Gujarati vegetarian. And the followers who attended the Osho commune also followed a Sattvic diet. So that time it really was a perfect marriage, and that's how it started. And that's why it was vegetarian. Of course, is not really common with Italian food. But over the years, we realized that it was really a niche or a USP that we've managed to carve out for ourselves with the Gujaratis and Marwaris being avid fans of the brand and majority of our customers today. So that's been the brand philosophy and sort of the brand identity today that we do vegetarian Italian food. And it's been working well. People know Little Italy for vegetarian Italian food today. Although we've thought about the idea of non-vegetarian, but not under the same brand. Perhaps with a different brand, we would do it at some point. But currently, we're focusing on Italian vegetarian food, expanding with the same to newer geographies in India and abroad. So that's what we're doing currently.
So basically, you are continuing doing what your parents started to do, and you don't think there is a need to reinvent or recreate something new?
I mean, I feel currently that's there is a lot to be done with Little itself. With that being said, in the recent years, we've introduced a fair few brands to add to our portfolio. So we have Piazza, which is a non-veg QSR pizza concept, is a Roman-style
Sorry,
sourdough
what's the
pizza.
name you said?
It's called Piazza.
Okay.
Piazza. So it's a Roman style sourdough pizza concept. We have Senorita's Mexican Kitchen, which does Mexican food, and we have Tutto Bene, which is a lifestyle Gen Z forward cafe. So these are new brands that we've added in the last 2 or 3 years, which we're expanding as well. But our flagship remains to be Little Italy.
You know, I'm amazed at the cross section of experiences we have on the dais today. Here is someone who has brought a food which is very unconventional to India, and it's an international brand, and he has made it big. Here is a man who has created, I think, just about everything that an Indian consumes. In fact, I would go a step forward. I think you guys have also created habits for people. And then I have you, who is picking up a cuisine which is intrinsic about meat, made it pure vegetarian, and did it so successfully. So it's a brilliant. When I come to the next section of my discussion, I think it will be very interesting background to have. Now I'm going to come to you, Neeraj. So, Neeraj, what about you? How did your whole story start, go, continuing, and what is there you want? Where do you want to reach?
So it's been an interesting journey. I've been a management graduate, worked 3 companies in a professional avatar for 20 odd years, nothing to do with food all these years. And then we started a company called Selfrost way back in 2004, scale it up, begin to like what you guys do. And that's where, after years of being in business and professionalism, we realized this is our calling. This is such an interesting stuff. Talking to consumers who consume food is their passion, food and beverages. So that's where I think our calling started. We scaled up that brand, wanted to take it global, uh, ended up making a conversation with Middleby Corporation, which is one of the biggest food service companies based out of US. But to cut the long story short, they ended up buying us out. So I continued to be the president of the acquired entity for some time, exited and started through Frost and Butler. It's been 7 years in the making. I consider myself as a work in progress, an accidental entrepreneur, but finally an entrepreneur who loves to do what I am doing right now, working with people who are doing such interesting brand building, people on the dais. But there's been a tremendous process of rediscovery in all these years. Rediscovery in the sense, a lot of people, when we started our first venture, we had no capital and we were bootstrapped. How we got to where we got, it's purely luck.
So you're talking about Selfrost?
This is all talking about Selfrost. So there, I think, and I discovered one thing, that your needs, objectives, goals in life evolve. So back then, first entrepreneurship, zero capital, you have to fend a family. So your objective was to afford a family, to be able to give them a life. But having monetized that operation, it's been a complete process of rediscovery. We decide to come back in business not with the intent of making money. Money should be a good milestone. It is an indicator of what you're doing and if you're doing it right. But I think now the whole concept is to leave a legacy, to solve problems which you guys are facing. And in my last 20 years, I've seen tremendous problems, problems which remain unsolved, problems which are given a lip service in the industry, problems which enable restaurants, cafes, coffee shops, bakeries to expand. So therefore, our focus in the last 7 years has been what problem should we solve? 2, how should we solve it? 3, what do we mean to people like you? What should we, so what is the brand positioning I want for myself? So that's been a process, which has got us to where we have. And we can talk about this later, maybe.
No, I'm going to continue with you.
Okay.
So now, I understand the Selfra story. You already did what was the topic of this. You built a brand, you built a certain valuation, and you eventually exited that business. What plans for the new baby?
So, yes, this is a question which is asked quite often to me, and some of the serious players who are ramping up, Ankush being one of them. We've been asked this many times over, ye kab bechoge? You know? So here's the answer. The truthful answer is this time around, no. I think we were nervous the last time around. We came from very humble backgrounds. And when the opportunity, and we were also leveraged very highly. So you feel nervous when you're leveraged. So we did what we did. Here, I think the dreams are very different. We want to continue to solve problems. We want to leave a legacy. And therefore, maybe if we get lucky, we are building ourselves in a manner that we'll look at a potential IPO at some point in time. We want to remain invested. We want to see the upside this time clearly around and continue to solve problems which are very peculiar to this industry.
So, let me ask you a hypothetical question before I come back to other panelists. Given a choice, if you had no major leverage or something, would you have still exited Cellfrost or would you have grown it further?
See, I tell you what, I'm a person who does not live in regret. I think a better way to answer that question is now what we've created, True Frost and Butler, it has been motivated by what we could have done in Cellfrost, but what we should
Interesting.
not do now.
Interesting.
So I think success teaches you two things. One is what to do, what to continue to do, what has made you successful, and the other is what not to do. It's a choice you exercise. So this time around, we want to, I mean, the food service industry, the equipment industry in India is very highly polarized. So you got a Merck on the upper end, and you got Ambassador car, which is, I use this analogy quite often, that there's unreliable equipment out there which defocuses or saps a lot of your energy, or there is very high capital intensive equipment which makes you unviable sometimes. So what we want to mean is to be a Hyundai Creta or a Honda in the market, a functional product which can be serviced across the country. You know, if Rebel has 800 kitchens across the country, we are there in all the 800 kitchens for them, and so on and so forth. So that's the way we've tried to build ourselves up. And, you know, and we also feel that another pain point of the industry is trying to make an idiot-proof offering for the consumer, producing a good quality food or beverage consistently across stores, across kitchens, across geographies. And that can only happen if you inject some kind of tech, artificial intelligence, a lot of technology in the product and in how you solve problems. And that's what we seem to be doing very meticulously.
Fantastic, fantastic. Very nice. So if I'm reading it right, it's something you're doing now, where you're enjoying the process of doing what you're doing, and probably profitability is an outcome of what you're doing.
Yeah, so the answer to the first part is enormously enjoying, and we're very passionate. I work, despite being 65 years old, I work 16 to 18 hours a day, and I thoroughly enjoy what I do. Yes, of course, the second part is that we are here to stay, and we'd like to continue to solve a lot of industry's problems.
Yeah,
and profitability, yes, the better part of the
100%.
answer is that I am old school, so we are not building for valuation. You know, what we earn today, we put back in the company. Of course, we've done a fundraise, but that's been because there was a lot of opportunity we were losing. There is growth capital needed to, if you're growing at a faster pace than organically you can, and then I think it is foolish of you not to inject growth capital. And now there is a BIS situation. We will talk about this later because this is one of the biggest challenges the industry is facing. So if we want to leverage on that, then I think significant investment is needed. We cannot do it with organic growth.
No, and I agree with you. You know, some people. So I'll tell you a real example. I mean, I was talking to somebody for a large wedding catering. I have a catering business as well, and that person at one point of time asked me, "आप प्रॉफिट के पीछे क्यों लगे हुए हो?" मैंने बोला, क्योंकि मैं रजिस्ट्रार ऑफ कंपनी में रजिस्टर्ड हूँ, चैरिटी कमिश्नर के पास नहीं. Why should one be apologetic about making money? What is the idea of doing any business? So thank you, at least you're saying that. So now, Ankush, I'm going to come to you again. Now the real fun begins. So while, my vintage thinks that making profitability is the only way to make a business run, you are the modern czar of business who thinks burning cash is very okay. Where do you get this courage from, first of all, before I go to the brass tacks? Where do you get the courage to burn the cash? हमारा तो एक महीने में नुकसान होता है तो मैं 3 दिन तक नींद नहीं आती है.
It's not, I don't call it burn cash. And honestly, when I came on board the first month, when I saw 1 crore ka sale, 1 crore ka loss hai, ye chal kya raha hai. So, but again, where we are today and what we have built today is gonna throw back a lot more working capital, a lot more cash back into the what we have built. I think it's just an investment rather than saying, because just to give you an example, a typical restaurant, whatever you take, whatever scale, will handle what, 100 SKUs, 150 SKUs. Today, our kitchen we manage 1,000 SKUs. Any company I go and say,
Multiple
make me
brands and
multiple brands that make me a tech who can manage 1,000 SKUs, they will say, oh, the development cost will be so high. So I think what we build is, and it took so many years to get to that machine, or you say the innovation we have done. We only know what is going to bring. And if I look back at my last 3 years, our profitability is not moving in a linear line. So from a deep negatives, we are almost there now because our profitability is moving in chunks. Because entire top line we get. Just to give you an example, Wendy's, McDonald's in India took 10 years to build 100 stores. We have done this for Wendy's in 200 stores in just 4 years. Today, if I have to put a brand across the nation in all my 400 kitchens, it is just going to take me 3 months. If you talk any brand, say, okay, 400 location खोलनी है India में कितना time लगेगा? Answer is going to be 10 years. So time versus money, I think we valued what we build that saves time for the future and let us scale. So now for me,
you have invested to create infrastructure for the future.
Infrastructure, and I think more importantly, the whole operating system which Rebel has today, which let me launch. So we launched so we have 3 biryani brand now. We launched another biryani brand. We realized there is an opportunity of one more biryani brand which we should do, and this is the category. It is, so today, if I ask my 20% business is coming from the brands I've launched last year.
Wow.
So that's the ability which we built over the last 10 years, the muscle we built over the last 10 years by investing into the vision we had. So again, I think as a founder, you always have a purpose, and for that purpose, you get investors who believe it at a private level.
मैं देखो मुझे कोई शक नहीं है कि तुम प्रॉफिटेबल भी बन जाओगे और बहुत जल्दी मे बी शेयर यू विल प्रोबब्ली बी डूइंग एन आईपीओ वेरी सून. एवरीबॉडी नोज दैट. मैं तो अलग सवाल पूछ रहा था, इतनी हिम्मत कहां से लाते हो भाई कि तुम मतलब आई एम बर्निंग कैश बट इट्स ओके.
I think नाम में ही आंसर है सर. नाम में ही आंसर है.
I think that's where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, in case this is becoming a bit of a monologue, anybody has any questions right now, happy to take it to any of the panelists. Or otherwise, we'll continue with our discussion, what we are doing. Please raise your hands in case you want to be a part of this conversation. Yes, please. Somebody take a mic.
Hi, my name is Naveen Mittal. I had a question for Tarak.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Good afternoon. You mentioned that you opened 3 outlets and then you probably opened 35 and you shut down 30. So the question becomes once again, where do you find the money to burn, or where do you find the heart to burn the money?
Well, it's the most difficult question you asked. I would not like to tell you where did I get the money. But generally, I'll tell you what, there is something when the business starts happening, you tend to invest in some kind of cash and keep it in the bank. We used that money and kept on using it unless it got over. And suddenly one day we realized that, listen, it's all over now. Either you start from scratch or shut shop and go back home. We started again. And that's why I think we realized our fault faster than anybody else. I think I always say that fail faster and get up and get going. But don't elongate it. So even if our store today is going beyond a 9 to a 12 months delivery of ROI, we shut shop. There is no emotional background we carry along. Well, it gets very difficult for me whenever I shut shop, whenever it happens. But in the last 6 years, I think we have shut only 1 shop, I think. So that's the achievement and that's the learning we had all these years.
I think it's a very normal thing in any business. the biggest of the corporates in the world had to shut some part of their businesses.
Yeah.
I also feel, just taking it from what Tara was saying, as a restaurateur, as an entrepreneur, you get that conviction that this is going to work. It's only a temporary glitch,
Yeah.
and then that gives you enough ammunition to go ahead. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And basically, when you are so attached to the brand, when you have worked so hard to make that happen, and suddenly when you want to shut one day, you get very emotional about it. And not to say, actually, you cry about it. Frankly speaking, I've cried when we shut store. But if you have emotion in business, it gets a little, you have to balance it out sometimes, I always think.
No, end of the day, business is about being practical.
I think one thing we all just forgot, we are 2025. We all seen what happened in COVID, right? Eventually everything shut down, right? I think our what we have seen in the last 3 4 years and things coming back to where they are, I think it's a very simple concept called in finance called sunk cost. Rather than continuing with something which is not working, sometimes you just go take a couple of step backs and then build on it, rather than building on something which is not going to help you going forward. So I think they have shut 35. We I think should have 100 kitchens.
No, no,
We
totally
yeah.
agree with you. I rather let go of that capital than keep burning cash behind it. It's a very prudent thing to do.
Sunk cost is
या यस हो गया भैया देखो एक बहुत सिंपल सा बात है जो लोग फैसले करते हैं वही सही या गलत फैसले करेंगे so there is nothing to feel bad about it. The same people who shut 5 restaurants also open 35. So end of the day, they are the people who are taking the calls and everybody. I mean, otherwise हम में और भगवान में फर्क क्या रह जाएगा अगर हम सारे डिसीजन सही करेंगे तो. As long as you are making the decision in full conviction, you are doing right. Nobody knows whether your decisions will be good or bad, right or wrong. But you must always be proud if they are your own. So let me come back to Amrut now. Amrut, abhi batao, abhi kya you also think of unlocking value for your family, next generation, because when the next generation comes, there are more people who want to be part of the business. Do you foresee yourself unlocking the value of the company, which I would call is a legacy brand?
Right. Yes, the simple answer is yes. I think the new generation with myself has a little bit of a different perspective to it. The earlier generation with my father and all never even discussed the idea or never saw it as an option, really. But, similar to what many of you have said today, that, if you aren't growing at the same rate as the market or you aren't using the amount of capital your competitors are, you are degrowing and losing market share. I feel there is a big opportunity cost to lose if we aren't growing at the same rate and unlocking the same capital and growing to more and more cities. So I feel that's my perspective to it. In order to really capitalize on the opportunity that India has as a consumer market, with markets that are opening up, the new cities, and also internationally for us. So I feel we are looking into the idea of unlocking value, probably diluting some share, and being able to grow at a faster rate, basically.
So basically to generate some growth capital for more aggressive growth.
Correct.
Okay. So not really unlocking the value for yourselves for now.
I mean, en route to that, but yeah,
and,
eventually.
and why not? No,
And-
I'm gonna just shift my focus a little bit. We have talked about this valuation and everything. Tell me, guys, and especially Ankush and Amrut, would you ever not think of taking these homegrown Indian brands international? There is today, I personally feel that in terms of sheer varietal, sheer, the depth of cuisine, we are far ahead of an entire continent.
Mhm.
Why are we not taking our food international? Would you do that? And do you think that's a great way
Mhm.
to not only take Indian food overseas, but do it profitably? Do you see that as an opportunity? I'll take both of you
Mhm.
one by one on this.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. I feel, especially for us, we are looking at it. We are in the UAE market currently, in Thailand, and looking to expand to the UK and the US as well. I feel our Indian cuisine in general, although we do Italian, Indian food is very underserved on the global stage and is limited to the few dishes that we know. And there is a large opportunity there to unlock, especially now with the Indian diaspora as a whole. being in leadership positions in thriving countries and having so much of capital to have the expenditure for to fuel the Indian brands to grow over there. Like we see brands like Sarvana Bhavan, Bikanerwala, and Haldiram's already doing it. But I feel that's still just the tip of the iceberg, and there's so much to do over there, which I'm sure Ankush can add to.
No, before I come back to you, Ankush, on this, Amrut, I have a little different question to that.
Mhm.
You used the word because of Indian diaspora all over the world. Why not take the Indian food to
Mhm.
the world? If Indians can consume burgers and Italian food and donuts,
Mhm.
why can't we take our dosas and biryanis and kathi rolls to the world?
No, of course, I think that too is a great opportunity. For us, the way we've seen it or how we've done our expansion is when we open in a new city, we probably will start from where more of the Indians are and then make our way inroads to have like sort of a safe expansion plan. Again, it goes back to, let's say, the diverse backgrounds we come from. We come from a family owned business which is bootstrapped. So maybe a bit of a conservative approach. An alternative approach could be
Fair
to
enough,
start with
fair enough.
multiple
That's
outlets.
a very
But yeah.
honest thing. Ankush,
Yeah, I think so. That basically there are two answers. Very honest. We are in UAE, we are in UK. Totally agree. Biryani is a great market. I think GCC will be a gonna be a big market for us going forward. But again, India is so deep. I think what we have is the largest population, and now when we are entering tier two, tier three, we are in now almost 130 cities, and I think we can go more. And the kind of consumption, the kind of opportunity we see within India, I think is a lot. So we are doing both right now. We are expanding GCC and India, and in UK we have Behruz already there doing well. So I think, but I think the next couple of years, I think India is still where we want to double down on because that's our market. But again, now there are a couple of brands we operate in UAE which are not in India. So I think UAE also help us try new cuisine in our model. So our model is built for global expansion. So and we keep putting cuisines. But I think India is where we'll focus at least for the next 2 years in GCC. Yeah.
Tarak, do you think one of the reasons? No, in my first of all, I believe our food and our cuisine is one of the least utilized soft power that we have
Absolutely.
that we can use to get the world to come to India. Do you think one of the reason is that we don't have the confidence in our own food, or we are apologetic about taking our food to the Firans?
No,
Today India is consuming everything from a sushi to a burger to
yeah.
a dim sum. But is the world really consuming your dosas and chicken tikkas and chaats?
Well, I think there's no reason why we should not go out and explore ourselves. Well, there are many parts of the world, specifically, for example, South Holland, London, for example, has amazing Indian food, although served by multiple people from various countries in Asia. But you have
Yeah, they
pockets in
call them Indian subcontinent.
yeah,
का
it's,
part है
it's
ना?
an Indian subcontinent where we all go and actually gorge. And then you have between Malaysia, Singapore, I think Southeast Asia has got balanced Indian food where you get everything from dosas to biryani and everything. We've seen it all. Yes, but the Indian diaspora has to go out and talk about it. I think we're also talking. I'm sure we are being from the restaurant industry and the national restaurant industry of India. We know that few of the brands are going out. I may not want to mention them, but from India, people are going out now.
I'm talking about aggressive growth. You know why I'm asking? Because look at these guys. These guys, you guys have created a beautiful range of restaurants and number of outlets in India. Why would you not replicate that model overseas?
I think I'll take a cue from Ankush also saying that India is so large. We have not just for us. It's we are only at maybe a 10, 11% of the place of India as of now. So
Yes.
that 80,
My
90.
friend, of course, we have 1/6 of the world population. Obviously, this is a huge market for everyone.
Yeah, but yeah, it definitely our food can go overseas, and there's a huge potential for sure. I know. हाँ पहले इंडिया में थोड़ा पैसे ही बना देना सर वी आर इनटू नॉट
तुमने तो पहले ही बोला मैं पैसे बना रहा हूँ.
थोड़ा थोड़ा
अच्छा. Anyways, so now I think I'll leave the floor open for any Q&A because I think I'm told 3 o'clock is my deadline. Am I right? So I think we have a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions, feel free to shoot. I wanted this to be a freewheeling chat rather than carrying any particular objective. Yes, please.
Hi, I have a question for Mr. Neeraj Seth. as you're into equipment, you are actually the core and heart of every industry which is growing. Equipments lead to temperature, safety, the way they take it. How do you manage to keeping up with the innovations with the industry which is growing up? कोई बिरयानी बना रहा है, कोई डोनेट कर रहा है, somebody wants to come up with the pizza, somebody wants to come up with something. There's a huge innovation involved in getting these industries up and running all the time. The innovation is huge. Would you just give us a little bit idea over that?
Can I know your name? It's a very
Yeah,
intelligent
hi,
question. you asked.
I am Dr. Neha. I am from Rebel Foods.
All right. So Neha, I think it's an excellent question you asked.
Thank you.
A part of this question I'll answer by answering your question, which was not posed to me, because from the outside we see it differently. I think you're very wedded to the industry, so you see it differently. At times they say the ball looks clearer when you're seeing it on television. Swing kaise ho raha hai, pata chal raha hai. We learn from you. So I think one of the things, and this is partly your answer also, Indian cuisine going overseas, I think part of the blame lies with us, the equipment people. A Pizza Hut could become, or a McDonald's could become popular because there was standardization of recipes, standardization of ingredients, standardization of equipment. Unfortunately, on the bhatura or the paratha or the biryani, it's taken a while for industry, the equipment side of the industry, to come up with innovative solutions. And you hit the nail on the head. And that is what True Frost and Butler stands for. For long, we've been witnessing dependency on a chef, the mood of a chef, the skill of a chef. The mood of a barista, the skill of a barista to churn out a good cup of coffee. The moment you make this product, the food or the beverage, idiot-proof, and that can only happen with 2-3 ingredients coming in right. One is the ingredient itself, the right coffee bean, the right coffee grinder, the right coffee machine, the right technology which produces the right espresso shot, shot after shot after shot, and so for a pizza or a paratha or whatever. So I think there's a tremendous amount of, we have a small thumbnail of a lounge out here where we've given a thumbnail of a peek into the tech side of what we do. So we've got ovens which sense whether the chicken needs to be roasted more. So there is this reasonable amount of automation which has come into coffee machines, which has come into grinders, which has come into blenders, which has come into bakery equipment, bakery ovens, combi ovens, and what have you. Cold storages. There are prompts you can get that the equipment is about to go wrong, you please fix it. So there is a lot of IoT enablement which has happened. You can, in the central kitchen, sitting in a central place, figure out that this equipment of yours might need this help. So I agree with you. I think the future of the food service industry, and particularly the Indian cuisine, will be dependent on the innovation that we produce, and we
So
would, in
true.
that sense, be great enablers for you.
So true. So true. Thank you. Anyone else? Otherwise, I'll like to thank my fellow panelists, Tarak, Ankush, Amrut, and Neeraj. Thank you so much for this discussion.
Thank you.
And well, see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for this insightful panel that you all created here. Thank you so much. May I please request our moderator, Mr. Anurag, to please give away the mementos to our speakers. Mr. Tarak Bhattacharya, ED and CEO, Mad Over Donuts. Mr. Ankush Grover, co-founder and global CEO, Rebel Foods. Mr. Amrut Mehta, Director, Little Italy Group. Mr. Neeraj Seth, co-founder and managing director, True Frost and Butler. May I please request Ms. Nusra to join us and present the memento to Mr. Katria. Mr. Anurag Katria, founder, Indigo Hospitality. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Can we please smile for a group picture? Thank you so much, gentlemen. All right, seems we are ready with our next speakers. So the next session that we have is Experience Economy, the Future of Dining. The session highlights are going to be handcrafted foods, offbeat experience, multi-food moment, the emerging trends for diners. Quality over quantity, better food, more food is the way to go. Menus built for scale. How can your menu development adjust from daily chef specials based on the latest trend to a more consistent and cost-efficient strategy? Our session moderator, may I please request Mr. Nikhil, Managing Partner, Butterfly and Kaima, to join us on the stage, please. Can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Nikhil Rochlani, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'll also like to request our speakers to join us on the stage. Mr. Sarfaraz Ahmed, Corporate Executive Chef, Passion Cuisine. Ms. Aditi Malik, actor and co-founder, Green Turtle Hospitality. Ms. Nikita Sharma, founder, Quiche Hospitality. Mr. Abhimanyu Jakhar, founder, Jakhar Hospitality. Chef Nitin Tandon, chef, food stylist and restaurateur. All right, Mr. Nikhil, over to you. Can you check if the mics are working, please?
Hello, check. Hello, check.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. And we are going to be speaking on the subject, Experience Economy, the Future of Dining. We have with us Niketa Sharma from Quiche Hospitality, Chef Sarfaraz Ahmed, and Chef Nitin Tandon. Yeah, I'll pass on the mic to each of them to introduce themselves. I'm Nikhil Rochlani, the managing partner of Kaima and Butterfly High. I would like to pass on the mic to each of them to introduce themselves. We'll start with Niketa Sharma from Quiche Hospitality.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. And thank you, Nikhil. It's wonderful to be over here. I think after Delhi, this is the second time that I'm here on board with Restaurant India. So my name is Niketa Sharma. I am the founder of Quiche Hospitality, which has Bla as restaurants under its belt. And I'm also the CEO and director at SP Motels, which has banquets and 4 restaurants. I am very happy to be over here and hoping to have a great session and learning a lot from you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we're over to Chef Sarfaraz Ahmed.
Thank you, Nikhil. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Chef Sarfaraz. I handle operations of Trescent, Avtara, and Carnival by Trescent. These are the 3 brands that is been a part of a big Dubai chain. We own Trescent Studio, Trescent in Dubai, the Avtara, the only 3 Michelin star restaurant ever in the world which has 3 Michelin star on Indian cuisine. And we are part of a big family, although, but we are exploring our own pathways here in India, and we have been very well recognized. So hopefully we'll have a lovely session together.
Fabulous. I am Chef Nitin Tandon. I am the founder and owner of Nitin Tandon Food Styling. Nitin Tandon Food Styling is in the business of food photography and creating visual content around food and helping brands visually create larger impact for their customers, and also run another frozen dessert line business called the Fat Belly, and a wellness baking line called the Conscious Baking Project.
Sure. So thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. We'll start with the subject, the experience economy, the future of dining. Our first question for today is how economy influencing the dining industry in India. So we'll start with you, Chef.
So when you say the word experience, I'm so happy that our conversations are moving away from functionality to experience. I've lived in this economy of F&B where people didn't pay for packaging. And the burst of retail cost became so high, the combination of labor and retail rental is so high that the portion that you give to food is now dropped less than 20%, in banqueting less than 15%. So the experience has changed, and it came out of the need of P&L, which we will speak, I guess. And that created newer markets, luxury markets. It created mid to luxury markets. Cafes became more hip. And this is retail cost, travel, people, knowledge through the internet has already changed everything. So everything now is a world launch, thanks to the internet. When we talk about those experiences, even the food, even the service, even the decor now is a wholesome offering. Exquisite experiences are getting paid for. And sometimes, fortunately, price determines the experience as well. We say, oh, if it's so much, it will be a fabulous experience. So people are now at the era of change of the mindset. We all used to, in the back, say what will be our next restaurant, and we used to hover around between Indian, Chinese, continental, and now every kind of food is ready on the take.
Thank you, Chef. Chef, your view?
So my view on the same is, as it's called as experience economy, the name in itself has experience. What I believe is experience economy is more than a product, and it has got the emotion, the human touch that is already there. It has to be. There are more and more restaurants. Those are developing those concepts where farm to table, nutritive value, something which is beyond the robotic service, something which has got emotional balance, which has emotions to awake. The diners can take away at least a memory to come back. That is very important when we say it's an experiential dining restaurant and or the experience economy. The restaurants which caters around progression, the restaurants which cater around tradition, that it has a balance of something which evokes an emotion or a childhood memory or probably something which people want as an element of surprise. That is what all experiential dining is to me. And if somebody comes to a restaurant and takes back a memory, he will definitely will be back. And that is how you create loyalty. You create your potential customers who come back and forth again and again for the same kind of experience. That is what experience economy, I believe, is to me.
Can I toss something else from your answer? So, Chef, I loved your answer. It was very elaborative. But I wanted to ask you one question. How important is location of your venue when it comes to providing experiential dining today? Previously, if you weren't at a prime location, you couldn't charge and you wouldn't be able to afford the cost of an experiential dining because customers paid a lot of value to location. So how important is it today as well?
So location matters for each and every aspect of business. What kind of customers you are going to deal with, what kind of people going to come in. Affordability is another thing, and when it comes to experience, people look for something which is beyond your expectations. When it is come beyond your expectations, everything matters, from your the phone, the location, to the phone that rings up, the hostess that picks up, the reservation experience on the call, followed by how the valet give you an experience. You enter the restaurant. So all these things happen much before when the food arrives to the table, and this is what is more important to have an impact on a diner. So I always believe that food comes the secondary, the service, the location, the extracurricular things has to be very pinpointed and has to be penned down before you think about a concept, that how it's going to be, because these are small touch points which are very important for a customer or a guest to evoke those emotions, and that is what the memory they take off always. That is how it has to be.
Thank you, Chef. I'd like to pass this to Niketa Sharma. Niketa, I wanted to ask you a different question, connected, right? Today, there are a lot of restaurants in the quirky lanes of Bandra, which are doing very good business, extremely well, but they're not well located or easy to access. Why are they doing business if location is of paramount importance?
Hi, Nikhil. I agree with you. I mean, Bandra is known for its bylanes. It's known for its cafes for which the cars are not able to go through. You have to walk to those places. But then again, in this, I think it's the experience that matters. It is the food quality and it is the overall service that they're giving. For example, I've been to this beautiful cafe called as Pash in a bylane in Bandra. It's from Pune. It's by an entrepreneur from Pune. It's giving Ayurvedic, Sattvic, and holistic vegan food. It is giving vegetarian food and coffees and teas. The experience was wonderful. They also had a small shopping, like a retail section for crockery and for clothes for women. And they were having these hydroponic plants that they were growing all around the cafe. So for me, I would say, in particularly in Bandra or in Mumbai, you can say space is a constraint. So today, being a person from Mumbai, born and brought up over here, I don't mind going that extra mile to have that experience in a restaurant like a Pash or any other in the like a Gaijin or a 1633 for its cocktails, because it is giving me an overall good experience in food, in cocktails, or even in the service. Today, the Gen Z and the millennial is ready to go that extra mile, which the previous generation didn't have the exposure for, whether thanks to the internet, today we have the exposure, we have the bandwidth, and as well as the spending capacity to go that extra mile and spend that money, even if we have to, हमको चाहे golf cart से लेके जाए, पैदल लेके जाए या गाड़ी से लेके जाए, doesn't matter. It's the overall experience, which is from the aesthetic to the coffee or the cocktail program that is being made, as well as the kind of dishes that they are giving is what matters. So yes, location is important. So Bandra is a great location in itself. I will say that. But being in the bylanes of Bandra is also a fantastic place to be. For example, for a Love Fools or a Pash doing very well in themselves.
Thank you so much. That was very well answered. And I would like to just add into that. I feel somewhere experiences as per location also is an experience in itself, right? Having a location in a quirky lane, it creates a different experience of sorts. The typical high street, the typical mall does not always provide the experience which, say, a Salt and Karjat provides,
I
right?
agree. I love Salt and Karjat.
So yeah, I'll start with the next question. Chef, we'll start with you this time. I wanted to know how important is it to have quality manpower to provide experiential dining, and what do you do to retain them and motivate them?
See, when a restaurant starts, it's just like a small seed that has been sown. It grows with time. It grows like a small child. And so the team, so the chef, so the everyone who is around, they evolve. The biggest thing which I have experienced in these times, that everyone from your security guard to your valet to your commis to your servers who are serving, everyone should be treated with respect. That is the most and most important thing in this era. When you show respect, uh, people come to you with their problems, people come to you with their suggestions. You need to be very open with them to discuss anything. That is one thing that is very important. That's how the teams get built up. And the server who is serving, it has to be trained. You need to have so much impact of time. You have training cost, you have time benefits, all those things. You, when you invest in somebody and within a short span of time that person goes off, then probably the next one you need to rework again for another 6 months to get it to that position where it was. So if you will not retain them, if you will not listen to them, probably you're going to be in a big loss, because every time you're going to be only training people, you cannot progress and you cannot think of going beyond what you were doing. So you will be in a very circular thing, in a radius or a diameter. You will be get stuck and doing the same thing again and again, again and again. So you need to make people who can take support of you. You need to hold their hands to come up, and the moment they will grow, you will automatically grow in yourself. And that is how from one restaurant to two, two to three, three to four, your restaurant business will also grow, because the team who will join, for example, in 2015 as an associate, probably in 2025, if you will make him learn, train him, he will be a head chef of any of the restaurant of yours. So that's how your thinking, your positive thinking, your aesthetics of the restaurant, it is easier for you to explain to them rather than to somebody you hire at the same position who is completely fresher or completely new to your company, because every company, every restaurant has its own style. Okay, own style of working. You need little time to develop that in those individuals to whom you hire. Every new individual requires much time to get incorporated into the culture, and that time, if you will save it, you will progress in a very fast pace. That is all it's all about.
So I'm kind of making a few statements. One, I think so at a base level, we've run out of skill in India, and a lot has to be done at that level. Then let's talk about the employee himself. Uh, there are two categories: learners and jumpers. So learners tend to stay with you if the organization is teaching them and adding value besides the salary. So the basics have to be fulfilled. Unfortunately, if you look at the industry, it's a very poor paying industry. I am part of it, but I feel bad. And very laborious. So People are not leaving to join other restaurants, just the fatigue itself is making them move, right? So we, in the era of retail, restaurants lost all their front-end staff to retail when Shopper Stop and Aditya Birla and all those brands came with supermarkets. When Zomato came, you lost all your security guards, you lost all your washer boys because they gave them a bike and said, you'll earn 35,000. So respect for the number in number one. Number two is what then how do you bridge the magic because you have a P&L to handle? I think so that comes by micro ownership. If we can all bring a common goal to our employees, mark their division, make them own their section for creativity, service, performance, and everybody then moves and somebody tucks that boat, then we can expect our employees to last a little longer. Some would create excellence, some would show us the way that we would not see. And we have what they call the happy family. It's a little idealistic, but I think so, particularly with HR in restaurants and or in any chain, this seems to be the biggest ghost that is not getting addressed.
Thank you, Chef. I would like to add to that. I feel somewhere today, as you rightly said, manpower is going to be one of our biggest challenges. It is one of our biggest challenges. We lose to multiple other industries as they develop. And I feel most of us, people in F&B, all restaurateurs, hoteliers, really need to seriously sit and think, how do we set our policies and how do we humanize ourselves to a level where our attrition goes down? Because going forward, the biggest challenge of F&B in the future is going to be manpower and retention, right? And all your experiences are dependent on them. No matter how much you add AI, you add robots, you do whatever you want, you cannot humanize them. You cannot provide the experientials and the sensitivity which is required of F&B professionals, right? And kudos to our entire F&B professionals who are doing a wonderful job serving everyone. I'll pass this on to Nikita to answer the same question.
Thanks, Nikhil. So, Chef, I have a different opinion or a slightly different opinion or a statement on this. Being a small company, having a few restaurants, I have tried everything under the roof as far as I can think of, which is to retain the employees, whether it is by giving them trainings, so it is providing additional value to them from the current things that they know from their job perspective, whether it is providing fun activities to them so that, it's like a detox. We do these quarterly fun activities for our employees, whether it is bringing insurance to the table so that, insurance is a big boost to people in the F&B industry because it's not provided in our industry so common and so often, or whether it is through ex gratia being provided to them during Diwali or Christmas or whichever festival that the company follows. I still feel that the retention is becoming a task because the number of restaurants that are opening is more than the supply is more than the demand. And today, even for $1,000, me and Nikhil have had this conversation multiple times. Even for $1,000 or 500 rupees, they are ready to leave a company in which they've been working for 2.5 years, getting insurance, getting ESICPF, getting trainings, getting everything. So I feel like an organization is needed wherein somewhere there's some control given to the a structure is made, I feel, in the F&B industry because we're still very disorganized. How much ever, whether there's people are funding this industry, like left, right, and center, our industry is getting funded by big corporates. But I feel the micro level problems are not being addressed too. Whether it's the loyalty factor to be created or whether it is, a structure being created as to, there is no contract. Suppose if I am getting a steward on board for 15 grand or 18 grand, there's no contract with him. Like how in MNCs people have contracts that you cannot leave us and you cannot work with our competitor. There is nothing like that still formalized in our industry, which I feel is very important from an employer perspective because of the amount of time, energy, money that we put into transforming these people, where they are working with us as an assistant steward and we want to grow them to become a captain, or they're working as a commie too, and we see potential for them to become a DCDP with us. Any of these levels that we want to see them grow, but it takes time. Even in the corporate ladder, you start becoming an intern, then you become after probation a permanent employee, and then you climb the corporate ladder. That structure I feel is really, really lacking in our industry. And being a small MSME organization or a corporation, we are hands on in this kind of a job. Like Nikhil and I have dealt with such situations before. Like हम personally बात करते हैं लोगों के साथ. You know, it's not like I have directors on board or anybody. I'm not a massive or a impresario yet. So I really feel a solution needs to be brought, and more contractualization or organization to be brought to this.
So I have one interesting observation. I have two companies. On the left door, I have F&B, and on the right door, I have a media studio business. Just have the same floor, right? My Moriwala or my washer guy gets paid 12K, 14K, 15K. My spot boy in my
14-15 चल रहा है
studio
अभी.
gets paid 25K. Why is this disparity?
But then service charge भी तो मिलता है ना.
तो चलो 4,000 रुपए सर्विस चार्ज
तो
मिलेगा.
18K.
हाँ,
हाँ.
18K होएगा. If you look at the union salary provided in media, for the lowest rung, it's 3,000 rupees per day. What is ours? Ours is 600 rupees, 800 rupees. How can anybody live in Bombay in 18,000 rupees with his mother also? Forget him being married. I want to learn that magic. He has to sleep on the bus, which he comes and goes by. So it's unreal, right? And when I saw my first salary slip in the Taj, in the 80s, it was your salary is 800 rupees, then your washing fee is so much, then your uniform fee is like that, then we are going to give you meals. Therefore, it became 1,500. But take home was 800, right? So these are costs, but our disparity is huge from the reality of which city our employees are living, right? If we do not increase or do not fill his tummy, his mind will never be full. I absolutely appreciate insurance, blah, 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 really fills the mind, fills stability. But he is not fed. If he is fed, his mother is not fed. I mean, just imagine, guy who's getting 20,000 rupees, when will he buy a TV in life? He can't buy one. So that's not our accountability, but basically I feel somewhere we've completely missed the bus.
A standardization needs to be brought.
Yes,
from
we
the salary
completely missed the
perspective.
bus.
Can I jump in, chef? I have a quick question. Do you feel we restaurateurs are lacking on this front?
Yeah,
Do you
exactly.
feel the government is lacking on this front by keeping our costs so high that we don't cross an EBIT of 20% on most months?
When I first interacted with Cafe Coffee Day as a model, they said our budget is 25% of sale to 35% of sale should go to rental. 5 to 9% should go to salary. Because 1% will run the entire store. It worked absolutely well in the US. It didn't work absolutely. You still go to the coffee shop, barring one or two, everybody's still pushing a menu card in front of you. Right? We are a culture where if I turn around, I should have a waiter in my restaurant. He should be there only for me. So if you're pampered food culture, we are going to be very heavily labor driven. Either we change our models.
But then when you're labor driven, I mean, from P&L perspective, I cannot sell an idli for, which is 120 rupees, I cannot sell it for 200 rupees. Nobody will buy it.
I am completely do not agree with you. Completely do not agree with you. Order a idli from Zomato right now, it will be 200 rupees. In your restaurant, it will be 140 rupees.
Yeah.
And
So
we'll
the
still-
elasticity and ability to pay has completely lost dimension.
I think Nikhil wants to add to this for sure.
Yeah.
Because I fight with him on this.
So we debate on this, but I feel this cannot happen by a single unit. This has to happen at an industry level. So if we all decide unanimously, we reduce our man force, our labor force by 20%, or we increase the selling price by 20%, that's the only way we can survive. Because with the current EBITDAs, at the current cost of manpower, we can't afford to increase their salaries, and we, at the current price point, the way they're competing and the way aggregators are coming in and forcing us to discount a 50%, a 60%,
So
a
what is
30%.
happening? If there are 10,000 cloud kitchens opening, 6,000 must be closing now. One, because the model is not working. The value chain is gone.
Cloud kitchens are a failed model as per me as well,
It's not working.
unless they are existing in an existing setup as an add-on revenue.
So it's just the
I agree.
Uber was not a dedicated taxi service. It's Uber started as a, if you have nothing to do when you come home in New York and want to drive a car at night and make some extra money, that's how Uber took birth. Cloud kitchens will only survive that way. Our labor models have to change. We have to enter automation. We have to get into part frozen, part convenience food into our systems. I am that same chef who used to make 60 liters and 100 liters of mayonnaise, everything. I don't even remember the recipe of mayonnaise. Right? So we have to, may not happen at fine dining, it may happen at, so basically your P&L costs are shifting. Your labor has to come down because he's an emotion. He's an emotion.
Yeah.
The product can be dabbled up and down. There is great technology, there is cold chain, there is great holding. So therefore, QSRs are being able to kind of muscle a price.
There's retorted food. There's
Retorted food.
There's multiple options when it comes to that, chef, and I agree with you. But my point in question is this transformation has to happen at industry level, because when an individual tries to change the world, he's just going to fall, right?
No, you know the magic in this, try overpaying your staff. Na? Where will you go?
I agree, but you won't have a
Then
P&L.
your model has to work.
Chef, I understand, but you won't have a P&L left to survive the
Yeah,
war.
that's what, because the PNL is, so I'm going to connect this conversation to the earlier conversation, location. What is the contribution in Bombay for your rental vis-a-vis your
20 to
food?
25%.
25, 28, you go, you say, wow, kya jagah hai, 12 lakh dhanda hai, kar lenge yaar, 1 crore, right? If you are moving from prime location to unique location, spending 1.5 to 2 years on massive brand building, and then you're getting customers to come to locations where they were not ready to come, like Sabco or Lovefools or Pash in Bandra. How are they succeeding? What is their rental?
So I got a suggestion. Instead of a Zomato's giving a 20, 30, 40% discounting, they should force restaurateurs that we are adding 10% more towards your staff,
Yes.
20% more towards your staff, and that's the incentive for customers to visit. Let's change the conversation. Let's change the dialogue.
Dialogue, yeah, that will change. See, if you want people to own businesses, micro owners to run businesses, do I look at data, come to my restaurant, say, okay, this month I sold more tandoori items, less curry items, no mithai items. Then why should I incentivize my mithai guy?
Correct.
So are we working data? But if I'm a washing machine, Samsung, he will look at how well my mobile division is doing, how well my TV division is doing. He'll incentivize category wise. Are we doing that? We are not
Your
doing
data
that.
should be able to support that, because you're running with, everyone is running short on manpower due to attrition at some
Yes.
point or the other, no matter how well you staff. People are shifting tables. You can't keep track. Your data points are inaccurate. Who sold what?
Yeah,
how much
yeah,
have they
yeah.
sold? But chef, I have a suggestion. Say, for example, today, if you see your Uber, as you rightly mentioned as a good example, right? They added an option because a lot of their cabs started rejecting rides left, right, center.
So they added an option, tip the driver, which the
Yeah,
100%
yeah.
money goes to the driver. So why not tip our waiters? Why
That's-
don't we figure out a way as an industry to incentivize a Zomato and a Swiggy to add, okay, 5% of whatever you bill will go additionally to your servers directly.
You know, internal competitiveness within the organization is the most beautiful thing. So when I was Bachcha and Taj, they'll say, मैं जब इस supper club जाएगा ना, you'll do well, you'll go to supper club, right? You'll move from cafe to fine dining. Are we dividing our organizations internally and saying, you guys are competing these guys? Is bar competing kitchen? What's your number last month? There's data, right? Which is the waiter who sold most cocktails. We are doing employee of the month and giving them 500 rupees. Right?
That's pathetic.
I'm part of the same.
We all are.
Yeah, right?
Guilty
But
as
so
charged.
something is unreal in our head.
So, Chef, I believe F&B started like this, as you rightly said. The fine dines previously had section-wise targets, and each section was competing with the other. They divided the restaurant into 4 parts or 6 parts, and each part was competing, and the winning part every day took the tips for the day. Or there were different ways, everyone structured as per their individual company policies or their management decisions or their collective wisdom, right? But yeah, I feel somewhere as an industry, this is a longer conversation, and we should elaborate on this when we sit with NRAI or AHAR, because this conversation can go on for the next 12 hours and we won't stop. But anyways, I'd like to continue on subject, since I think we've elaborated too much on this one question. I want to go a little, you can say, imaginative. Tell me what, as a chef, what is the wildest imagination is something you want to do? Like say, for example, in COVID, Chef Gagan Anand tried to buy a hill in Japan to build a Michelin star restaurant. So what is it, that one goal which you feel is not achievable, but which you really want to do? That is, in my eyes, the experience economy. So what is that one experience you want to sell, however unrealistic it is?
No, unimaginable is, for me, obviously, when you tell me to answer, it will emit more out of my passion as a chef. I spend lots of time in media. So I would want to make a paradise for the unanswered artist. He's an artist. You're an artist. She's an artist. The guy who braids hair is an artist. The guy who pets. And to get a largest art community where we are vibing out in a place where each person is allowed to express. For me, that will be like the end.
So like
That
a war
has-
of the DJs?
Yeah, like the one.
So that has to be a non-judgmental zone wherein everybody is only appreciating each other, only taking inspiration from each other, and not thinking of each other as competition.
Absolutely.
When hands
Spot
down
on.
you come with a clean slate, and you go back with a mind and heart full, and a stomach, because we are in FNB, with a stomach full of love and gratitude.
That's why I said, mind, heart, and soul. You have to fulfill every part of that mind space.
Yeah.
Okay, when we imagine something as a chef, we want everything to be very perfect, from location to your food to your service to everything. But any restaurant around the world will not have all the parameters tick right. Okay, there will be something or other missing. So when we say unimaginable thing for me is when we tick up our checklist, which is 101% all the rights. Just imagine a scenery that you have probably made in your childhood, where there is some mountains, there is a stream going on, there is some green grass, there is some trees, and you get your restaurant in between somewhere. But is it possible to have in this era? There will be some or other factor missing. Either there will be temperature will be missing, either there will be sunshine which will be missing, either there will be too much of noise of birds probably. So this is something which as a chef I want to create, but that is something which is almost unachievable. If I will find a location, or I'll tell you a restaurant which has 90% of this aesthetics been placed, is Hisa Franco in Slovenia, helmed by Chef Anna Rose. If you will reach to the restaurant, you will find the uh, sound of stream hitting the pebbles. You have a big greenery, you have clouds, you have temperature, you have almost all the aesthetics. But still, it's very hard to go there. So there is one parameter which is missing. You need to do a lot of hard work to reach over there. So there could be a restaurant somewhere in future which is easy to go and has all the parameters. That is something which I imagine.
That will be via VR. You'll be sitting at home and imagining it. I think we'll be perfectly placed. But Chef, I would like to say, I would like to share my views on the same. Very rightly put that no restaurant will be perfect. But as artists, we've got a blank canvas. We can do the best with what we've got, with the colors we've got, with the canvas we've got, with the vision we've got. Right? We can create the best out of what we've got rather than waiting for the perfect, the idealistic economy, the idealistic country, the idealistic city. They will never exist. Humans will always want more and we'll never stop. But I think that thirst to keep achieving more and exceeding what we've done last time, or exceeding what veterans like yourself have created in this industry, we would love to, not compete, but take inspiration and exceed, right? In some way or the other. We will try and better ourselves, taking your high standards as a parameter. Now, somewhere this conversation has moved on to, since we reached VR, right? I like to understand how important do you feel VR is in creating experientials today, and how do you feel in your restaurant you can inculcate it?
See, I'm not against VR or AR actually. I always say that technology is a tool which can enhance the experience. Just imagine you are experiencing something which has been cooked in front of you. There is a hotel in Delhi which gives you a VR experience. You go, you sit in the restaurant, and you have been passed on a little tab, and you request that I want to see how my food is being made. So in the kitchen there is a camera. The order goes in. He can see what is being prepared, how the chef is preparing his meal, and then it comes to your table. So this is one example where yes, people have acceded to use VR, but I would say, as my perspective, AR is much more better, because when we say about AR, you are physically at that place and you have enhanced the experience by using a technology which can aggregate the sense of sound or smell or vision or anything. One restaurant that I dined in Italy, three Michelin star restaurant, it has got a plate specially designed with some headphones. You put on your headphones, and then you have got 6 small bites to eat. And the moment your fork will touch the plate, it makes a sound. That sound, when it makes you realize that something has awakened and shaken inside your mind. That has a sense that has been awakened. You take a bite from there with a cracker, you put it in your mouth. From the time you took it, from the time it is in your mouth, you can feel everything like a noise coming into your mouth. And then you can feel the crunch, you can feel different textures coming into your mouth, which actually enhances your dining experience. So that is how restaurants are using AR, and that is how it should be. It should enhance rather than deteriorate your experience. If it is used in a certain manner where it enhances, I am always with it.
Over to you, Niketa. Thank you, Chef.
So one of the first VR experiences that I saw was done by Hakkasan. They have recently done a 5-course meal with the use of AI, and even Google Gemini was when it was launched with Chef Saranj Goila. They did a AI experience of the Eden Garden, is if I'm not wrong. So VR is important, and I think it will be from fine dining and from a restaurant like Trescent or a Hakkasan. It will even move on to casual dining, but I feel that's 5 years down the line. But yes, AI definitely, from business perspective, AI can help us in analyzing the data. It can help us in understanding what the customer is really ordering, which is from knowing the APC to the number of dishes being ordered to the repetition of the customer, and to making sure that the customer retention is being made. I think AI can do a fabulous job in that. We're currently in talks with a company to help us in formalizing that data in all of our restaurants centrally, and also from sending WhatsApps to reminders that, hi, we missed you, or the data loyalty points to be created. Everything which was done manually or done only through a certain systems that were available in the F&B sector, I think AI will add a huge part in understanding future consumer preferences as well as spending power from a business perspective. So even from having the costings being cut down to understanding is the marketing doing very well, where is the ROI of the marketing coming from? I think in all of these perspectives, beyond Google Analytics, beyond social media analytics, I think AI analytics and data is the data being drawn into these AI funnels is going to really help us a lot. So the future is great. I think if used positively, it will add well to the business as well as the F&B industry.
Over to you, Chef.
So I think so. Any tech that comes into our life has its phases. So analytics is awesome because that, but on the build factor, I think so. It will first be automation and AI automation. So if we take labor and if a robot is going to serve you room service, which has AI and this, then we tackle labor, we tackle automatic dispensing of coffee, stirring stir fries. And I was in China and I saw a lot of these machines. They are there, they are today. They're not tomorrow. And if you go to a saladero and somebody is creating a saladero for you, there's gimmick, there's mind pleasing, there is, what do you say, there is no nonsense. I don't need to deal with somebody say, no, this sauce won't be there. There's no argument, right? So it's going to take part away of the emotion, create more comfort in certain kind of models.
Like the ramen place in Bangalore.
Yes, the ramen place.
Yeah, yeah.
So if that can happen, will it come? It will come faster, particularly with the conversation we had about labor and kind of models where no nonsense is required. That will be the
Service,
first.
quick service.
Yeah, no
Ao
nonsense.
khao jao.
Yes.
We're actually running kind of short of time, so
We'll just
quickly
summarize with
wrap it up.
one last
Yes.
question.
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Chef, for your wonderful insights. And I think they're telling us to leave now. So we need to wind up quickly with one last question. But I want to start with this one. This is something close to my heart as a restaurateur. What I personally believe, we as creators, as restaurateurs, as F&B service professionals, or whatever line we are in, we at every given point, we do see the financial angle to it, the bottom line to your P&L at every point. What is that one thing which each one of you do for your soul, where you don't do it for the money, you just do it because it's a good product, it's a good experiential, and you're not looking at a margin or a bottom line. Like say, for example, I'll start with me. When I'm sitting on my liquor menus, there are certain spirits, like say back in the day, there was Kati Patang. That is the only item on my menu which I didn't see the margin. I didn't negotiate with him on cost because the product was so beautiful. Right? What is that one item which you serve in your restaurant where you don't see money or margin?
I think so. Every creativity is your passion, and then it is your extension. And they say, "इसमें नहीं कमाया तो मजा आया," right? So for all of us, it's going to be different. I'm in the supply business. From my food, it goes to another customer. But when I'm catering, and if a customer is saying, "Give me so much, and I'll pay you this money," I'm saying, "Khana kitna bhi kha lo." Like we need to see abundance. We need, and then how do you create cost at the back is your game. Because our mothers never counted when they fed us.
I would like to add on this, how experiential restaurant have been developed, how dressing has evolved. I'll give you our own example. If I'll create a dish, keeping cost in mind, probably I will not be able to create what the level of dish we need to serve at restaurant. We never think of cost. when it comes to creation, because creativity doesn't come when you have figures in your mind. It cannot, it is not almost impossible to create something. You have a budget that I want to create something with 100 rupees, you will only be able to create the value which is 100. I don't want to create a value of 100. I always want to give, if somebody is spending 100 rupees, I want to give back a value of 120. That is only possible when you have your creative mind, which is have full freedom. The freedom is very necessary to create new things. Our restaurant changes the menu every 4 months, every seasonality. You have a 14 course menu, you need to change at least 9 dishes in 4 months. Similarly goes to Aftara, 9 to 10 dishes there. Similarly goes to Carnival. So see, span of time of 3 months, I have to create around 30 new dishes, and that 30 new dishes is impossible if every time I'm thinking about cost and cost. So at certain level, I don't think about cost. I create the product first, and then we make sure that we recover the cost out of it.
Sorry, we all have to cut short. I think Nikita, quickly you can summarize and we'll just say a goodbye.
Chef, you have the liberty of doing this because you are working with Carnival and Crescent. Unfortunately, all of us are not at that level yet. But from me, for the creativity, I think Nikhil knows the creativity in which I do not think of a limit or the ROI is definitely crockery and the plating up. I go all out in that, and my chefs are very happy with me because of this. Chef Rahul says that निकिता पे छोड़ दो, वो कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा लेके ही आ जाएगी जो मुझे भी मालूम है बजट के ऊपर होगा, but I know she will get it and I know it will look fabulous in that. So that is one department that I feel I don't look into the ROI aspect, and because visually the plating up needs to be beautiful for me on a personal note before I even taste it. So that is one aspect. Thank you so much, everyone, for having me on board. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Chef. It has been wonderful meeting you all and learning from you all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll conclude our panel with this. And thank you all for sharing your wonderful insights and educating us on so much more than we know. I'm going out wiser than I came in.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
so much. Thank you so much. Can I have a huge round of applause for our panel here? May I please call upon Ms. Nusra, Editor, Restaurant India, to please present the mementos to our speaker and the moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, moderator for this session, Mr. Nikhil Rochlani, Managing Partner, Butterfly and Kaima. Mr. Sarfaraz Ahmed, Corporate Executive Chef, Passion Cuisine. Ms. Nikita Sharma, Founder, Quiche Hospitality. Mr. Nikhil Rochlani, Managing Partner, Butterfly and Kaima. Chef Nitin Tandon, Chef, Food Stylist and Restaurateur. Thank you so much for being here. Well, without further ado, I would like to start with our next session, which is From Plate to Place, Rethinking Design in Dining. The session highlights would be plating as storytelling, the ambience equation designing spaces, sustainability in design. May I please call upon stage the moderator for this session, Mr. Keith Menon, award-winning designer, architect, and sustainable visionary. Can I have a huge round of applause for Mr. Keith Menon, please? May I also call upon the speakers for this session, Sumesh Menon, founder, Sumesh Menon Associates, Mr. Ranbir Nakal, CEO, Yazoo Hospitality, Ms. Priyanka Jain, co-founder of Prasuk Jain Hospitality,